How do you know if you're stuck in fight, flight, or freeze? I'm going to answer that question for you on this video. Stay tuned to the end to make sure you get a full understanding. And be sure to smash that subscribe button while you're here. Look for the physical signs. They're going to come out in the form of an increased heart rate, shortness in breath, unexplained sweating, trembling. Thoughts in your mind are going to sound something like, oh, hell no. Identify your triggers. These are the things that bring out those symptoms that we just talked about. And they're going to be different for everyone. Identify your behavior. That's the thing you're just really used to doing whenever you see this trigger. Is it fight? You're standing up and you're going after it? Is it flee? Turning around and you're running away from the danger? Or is it freeze? You really don't know what to do, so you just don't do anything. Sometimes what we do is we can overgeneralize, which means we end up taking a lot of things that aren't really a threat and putting it into the bucket. And that gets us stuck in this mode of either fight, flee, or freeze. I'm going to show you how you know you're stuck in fight mode. Every time I have somewhere to go, somebody's in the middle of the street. Time exists not. Are you feeling any of those secondary emotions when it comes to anger?
Some not so obvious secondary emotions of anger are being critical, distant, threatened, or hurt.
What is the thing that's causing you first to feel afraid and then to move on to anger fight mode? I get super frustrated with drivers. It's like my life would be fine if everyone else on the road could just learn how to drive. Why are you feeling this way? Well, when I was learning how to drive, there was this one time that I beached myself on this curb. Everybody was laughing at me. They were so critical, and that just made me feel super threatened about the way that I drive. In this particular example, we were really honest with ourselves. We kept asking why until we got to the root cause, which turned out it wasn't traffic or anything externally that was triggering us to go into fight mode. It was an insecurity that someone else was going to see if we made a mistake on the road and make fun of us again, like what happened in our past traumatic experience. So it's really important as you go through this exercise to really think about things that are going on inside as well as outside. You can treat a symptom, but the best way to cure something is to look at the root cause. In the plot of most scary movies, when the bad guy comes, the victims run. They run away, and this is what's known as a flight response. In the case of a scary movie, it might be appropriate, but it's not always the best choice. And I'm going to break down why. We're going to take a look at the root cause. A flight response comes from either fear or stress, but there's something behind that. That's what I want you to ask yourself and be honest. Here are the 6 core emotions. What is really behind that situation that you're feeling? To figure out if this has become an ingrained behavior. When we see that something worked the first time in a specific situation, we may just start spreading it around like confetti, thinking it's going to work in all scenarios. For example, running away from a bad guy in a scary movie, flight is appropriate. You may feel uncomfortable about having an honest and upfront conversation with someone that you care about and value, and in this case, flight might not be the most appropriate response because it's going to send a message to the receiver that you don't care enough to work through the issue. Identify the things that you're running from. We've all heard of the saying, like a deer stuck in headlights. Being stuck in a freeze state is a response to fear or stress, and it's like our body takes over and we can't control it. This is my freeze face. In this video, I'm going to show you how to recognize you may have gone into a freeze state and really analyze what's getting you there. Applying freeze in Jurassic Park was a really great strategy, and it helped them survive.
Keep absolutely still. This vision's based on movement.
But applying freeze to something like an exciting new job opportunity or a new relationship may be course to regret it later on. Here's some signs to look out for.
You may have trouble taking in your surroundings, almost like you blacked out. Activity-wise, you could be distracting yourself with other activities, like keeping yourself constantly busy.
To recognize the difference between pause and freeze. It's good to pause, especially when you feel a surge of new emotions. That allows you to do your research, weigh the pros and cons, pray over it, whatever it is that allows you to feel comfortable in coming back with an educated decision. Freeze is when you become stuck in time. You're immobile and you're not making any movement either before, during, or after the event. Take a different approach to how you look at when you're applying freeze by following this method. On one side, you're going to make a list of the things that cause you to lock up and freeze. In the middle, you're going to identify if it's a person, an environment, maybe something that could be good for you, or a moment or a memory. To the right of that, I want you to ask yourself why. Is that person maybe intimidating, abusive? For example, they keep going and going to try to convince you of something, which is their way of thinking. And if you don't go along with their way of thinking, there will be consequences. Is it a healthy environment, or is it a toxic environment that maybe you're holding on to because it's just always been there and you're afraid of what might happen if you let go? Is it things that could be good for you, but maybe they just seem intimidating because you've never done them before? In which case, those are the ones that you really want to reevaluate, as well as the moment or the memory. Sometimes we get stuck in some sort of a negative or embarrassing memory that we keep replaying it over and over out loud to others in our heads. And we literally become frozen in a state of negativity, which is reinforcing a negative belief about ourselves over and over again in our mind. Remember the plot of the movie Mean Girls, where new girl moves into town, she meets a nice group of friends, and then she starts getting bullied at school.
Don't invite Gretchen, she's driving me nuts.
Oh my god, she's so annoying.
Just get rid of her.
To try to expose the bullies, she decides to join the friend group and ends up taking on a lot of their mean girl behaviors. Sometimes we follow the crowd when we don't have enough information to make an educated decision, or we just really want to be part of the community. You're gonna ask questions. Get your bananas here. Look at her selling her bananas, so happy, enjoying her life. That's it, I'm gonna open an apple stand and I'm gonna show the world that I'm just as good as her. I love bananas. I'm not selling any apples. I hate apples. I don't even want to be doing this. I really want to be an artist. That's my dream. I know what I'll do. I'll start a hate bananas campaign. Nobody wants to smear someone's name more than someone that's afraid that the truth might come out. I see you're a very smart person that loves apples.
I used to like bananas.
You're my kind of people. Why don't you go ahead and join my group? Well, I never really stopped to ask questions because when I did, the answers didn't really make sense and they seemed like kind of part of a story, like a reaction to something that they did. But I was just so happy being part of the Apple group that I really overlooked all those red flags. You really want to assess this person's character. Oh, you want a banana, huh? You think you like bananas? At first, this person made me feel really special. They showered me with gifts and attention and told me that I was better than this banana person, and that made me feel really good. But soon they started to take that affection away and treat me really mean, which means if I didn't go along with what they said and what they did, then I was going to be punished. How is this behavior going to affect me later down the line? All of this work and none of it's working. She's happy in doing what she loves, and that's what really makes me angry because I just want to be happy and doing what I love. But I don't have time to be an artist when I'm consuming all my energy around this person that I haven't even spoken to in years. So I said, keep it to the banana girl, and that way I'm not the one that has to pay the price. But I know that's wrong and I feel super guilty about it. There's not a day that goes by that I don't regret treating this person this way. Who is that? Oh, yeah. They used to come to the stand and get bananas all the time, but I haven't seen them in a while. Tell them I said hello. I wish them the best with their apple stand. Now that we have all the information, we can make an assessment. We see that the person that was selling the apples was really jealous of the happiness that that person had, not the fact that they were selling bananas. In fact, the person selling bananas was very kind to them and did no wrong. Because they decided to compete with them rather than focus on their own goals and dreams, they developed this sense of unhappiness that they brought upon themselves because they were doing what they didn't love. Also, by slandering and going against this person, they brought in a lot of bad karma into their life. Now we take a look at the first person that was stuck in the fawn response, which they decided that they just wanted to fit in and be part of a group, that they weren't going to ask any questions, and they were happy just to rah-rah, go along, join forces, to feel like they were part of something. Then you have the other person who is just generally doing it out of fear. They still went along rather than removing themselves from the toxic relationship, which they later regretted. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this brought some clarity.